First in the spotlight tonight is Alan Gibbs, a drug researcher from Lancashire. He's answering questions on one-hit wonders. Next, Chris Baker, a public relations executive from Chippenham, on 30 years of general elections. Stephen Jones is a retired headmaster from Tamworth. His specialist subject, West Bromwich Albion. And Marianne Fairthorn, a quantitative analyst from London. Her subject, the Roman Empress Livia. Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. 4 more contenders put themselves to the test tonight in the hope of becoming the nation's mastermind. They get 2 minutes of questions, of course, on their specialist subject, but it's the general knowledge round that most of them fear, the fear of the unknown. So let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Alan Gibbs.
Your occupation?
Drug researcher.
And your specialist subject?
One-hit wonders, 1960 to 2000.
In 2 minutes, starting now, what tune gave the Brighouse and Rastrick Brass Band its only entry in the singles charts in 1977? It also gave Terry Wogan his only chart entry as a solo artist in 1978.
The Floral Dance.
Yep. Which group's only hit was a #1 in '66 with Michelle, an early cover version of a Lennon and McCartney song?
The Overlanders.
Yep. Who was the lead singer for the cartoon group The Archies on the song Sugar Sugar that topped the charts for 8 weeks in 1969?
Ray Dorset.
Ron Dante. In 1981, after Noel Edmonds played it on his radio show, which song became an unlikely hit for Fred Wedlock? It reached #6 in the charts.
The Oldest Swinger in Town.
Yes. What is the title of the song that topped the charts for Norman Greenbaum in 1970?
Spirits in the Sky.
Yep. On what record label was Judy Zook's Stay With Me Till Dawn released? It reached #16 in 1979.
Rocket.
Yep. What is the title of the only hit credited to the crazy world of Arthur Brown, which he performed on Top of the Pops wearing a burning crown?
Fire.
Yes. Which Liverpool band who appeared on the television talent show Opportunity Knocks had their only hit in 1974 with Who Do You Think You Are?
Liverpool Express.
No, Candlewick Green. Which school choir provided the backing vocals on Brian and Michael's single Matchstalk Men and Matchstalk Cats and Dogs? They later topped the charts themselves.
St Winifred's.
Yes. What is the full title of the act that reached #1 in the singles chart with Shut Up Your Face in 1981 and kept Ultravox from the top spot?
Joe Dolce Music Theatre.
Yes. Whose only chart entry was A Message to Your Heart in 1991? She's better known as an actress, and the song was Britain's Eurovision entry that year.
Samantha Janus.
Yes. Which comedian formed the band Morris Minor and the Majors and wrote the group's 1987 top 5 hit Stutter Rap?
Tony Hawk's.
Yep. According to the Australian film director Baz Luhrmann's 1999 chart topper, Everybody's Free to Wear what?
Sunscreen.
Yeah. Under what name did Lois Wilkinson and Andrea Simpson have a top 10 hit in 1963 with You Don't Have to Be a Baby to Cry?
Arcade.
No, the Caravels. Who had his only solo hit with Your Baby Ain't Your Baby Anymore in 1974? He sang the falsetto vocals for the Rubette Sugar Baby Love, which was a #1 hit in the same year.
Paul something. I want to say Paul de Resta, but he's a racing driver. Paul de Rosa.
No, you're not going to get there. Paul da Vinci.
Paul da Vinci.
So that's it. No passes, Alan. You've got 11 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Chris Baker.
Your occupation?
PR and marketing agency owner.
And your chosen subject?
UK general elections 1979 to 2010.
In 2 minutes, starting now, which party leader's general election manifesto entitled New Hope for Britain was described by a senior member of his own party as the longest suicide note in history?
Michael Foot.
Yep. Which city has been the first to declare a result in every general election since 1992?
Sunderland.
Yes. Mrs Thatcher became Prime Minister after the '79 general election, which was called after a vote of no confidence in the Labour government succeeded by 1 vote. What was the name of the Labour MP who was too ill to attend the debate and died a few days later?
Sir Alfred Broughton.
Yes. For which constituency did George Osborne succeed Martin Bell as MP at the 2001 election?
Tatton.
Yep. On a visit to Rochdale during the 2010 campaign, Gordon Brown was recorded describing a voter as a bigoted woman. What was her name?
Gillian Duffy.
Yes. Which future Prime Minister was first elected to Parliament at the '79 general election?
Pass.
For which constituency was Louise Ellman re-elected as MP in 2001? The turnout was around 34% of registered voters, the lowest in the UK.
Brent East.
Liverpool Riverside, whose parliamentary career came to an end when he lost his seat at South Down in the 87 general election.
Enoch Powell.
Yes, which group's hit Things Can Only Get Better was used as the theme song for Labour's 97 campaign?
Dee Ream.
Yes, what was the name of the Labour MP defeated by George Galloway at Bethnal Green and Bow in 2005?
Una King.
Yes, Sir James Goldsmith stood as a candidate in Putney at the 97 election for the party that he founded. Which party?
The Referendum Party.
Yep, which prominent politician punched a member of the public who threw an egg at him during the 2001 general election campaign?
John Prescott.
Yes, which advertising agency worked on the Conservatives' successful 79 election campaign and produced the famous Labour Isn't Working poster?
Saatchi and Saatchi.
Yes, during the 92 campaign, a Labour broadcast compared a girl waiting for NHS treatment and another with the same medical complaint who was treated privately. The resulting controversy was nicknamed the War of
Jennifer's Ear.
Yep. In the 2005 election, Robert Kilroy Silk stood as a candidate for which party?
Veritas.
Veritas is correct. You had just one pass and you'll know it for sure. That future Prime Minister who was first elected in '79 was a chap called Major. John Major. So there we are. But Chris, you got 13 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Stephen Jones.
Your occupation?
Retired head teacher.
And your chosen subject?
The history of West Bromwich Albion Football Club.
West Brom in 2 minutes. West Bromwich Albion are generally regarded as having been formed in 1878 by a group of employees from a local spring factory. What was the club's original name?
West Bromwich Strollers.
Yep. What was the name of the midfielder who joined Albion as a 15-year-old apprentice in 1972? He was sold for £1.5 million 9 years later.
Brian Robson.
Yes, Albion moved into their present ground, the Hawthorns, in 1900. What ground had they played at since 1885?
Stony Lane.
Yep. Albion finished 10th in the Premier League under Roy Hodgson in 2012, their highest position in the top division since they finished 4th in 1981. Who was their manager on that occasion?
Ron Atkinson.
It was. Which team were Albion playing against on the 16th of March 2002 when the match was abandoned after 82 minutes because their opponents had only 6 players left on the field?
Sheffield United.
Yeah. What was the title of the 1962 documentary film that showed behind-the-scenes footage of Albion's players in their spare time and during training?
The Saturday Man.
Yes. Which club did Laurie Cunningham join at the end of the 78-79 season? He was one of the players known as the 3 Degrees.
Real Madrid.
Yep. Who was Albion's secretary and manager from 1902 to 1948?
Fred Everest.
Yes. What's the nickname of Tony Brown, who's made more first-team appearances and scored more goals than any other Albion player?
Bomber.
Yep. Albion won the old First Division Championship for the only time in 1920. Which club finished in second place, 9 points behind them?
Burnley.
Yep. Which team did Albion beat on the last day of the 2004-05 season to become the first team in the history of the Premier League to be bottom at Christmas but to have avoided relegation?
Portsmouth.
Yes, in 1922, who became the first Albion player to reach the milestone of 100 league goals?
Book.
No, Morris. In which country did Albion play 3 friendly matches in a summer tour in June 1957? The centre-forward Derek Kevans scored in all 3 games.
USSR.
Yes, Soviet Union. Who scored in every round of the FA Cup when Albion won the competition in 1968?
Jeff Astle.
Is correct. So you had no passes and just that one error. Stephen, you got 13 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Marianne Fairthorn.
Your occupation?
Quantitative analyst.
And your specialist subject?
Empress Livia.
Empress Livia, in 2 minutes. Here we go. Livia Drusilla is thought to have been born in Rome in either 59 or 58 BC and was descended on her father's side from one of the oldest and most distinguished families in Rome. Which family?
Claudians.
Yep. Livia was rumoured to have poisoned those who might have succeeded her second husband, Augustus, as emperor. Speculation started with the death of a nephew of Augustus in 23 BC. Who was he?
Marcellus.
Yes. To which city did Livia travel with Augustus to receive the body of her second son, Drusus, who had died after falling from his horse?
Brundisium.
Ticinum. What was the name of Livia's eldest son? He became emperor after Augustus.
Tiberius.
Yes, which sister of Herod the Great bequeathed to Livia the Judean cities of Jamnia, Phasaelus and Archelaus in her will?
Salome.
Yes, whom did Livia reward with 1,000,000 sesterces for swearing that he had witnessed Augustus ascend to heaven at his funeral in AD 14?
Numerius Atticus.
Yes, Livia was said to be a keen horticulturalist and is credited with developing a variety of fruit known as the Liviana. What type of fruit is it?
Fig.
Yeah, a large number of slaves worked in Livia's household, including an unctrix. What was an unctrix?
A masseuse.
Yes, female master. Livia's hair was burned and her dress charred in a forest fire while she was in exile with her first husband, Tiberius Claudius Nero. In which Greek city-state did that happen?
Sparta.
Yep. Livia was responsible for the restoration of a temple on the Aventine dedicated to a goddess worshipped in all female religious festivals. Which goddess?
Bonadea.
Yes. What was the name of Drusus's wife who came to live with Livia after Drusus's death in 9 BC?
Antonia.
Yep. What treaty was signed between the triumvirs and Sextus Pompeius that allowed Livia and Tiberius Claudius Nero to return to Rome from exile in 39 BC?
Misenum.
Yep. In his will, Augustus adopted Livia into his family. By what name was she officially known after his death in AD 14?
Julia Augusta.
Yes. What was the Latin term for the right of 3 children granted to Livia by the Senate to console her on the death of Drusus in 9 BC?
Ius trium liberarum.
Yes. Livia was a close friend of the wife of Piso, the Roman governor in Syria, and interceded with her son, the Emperor Tiberius, to gain a pardon for her. What was her name?
Cancina.
It was indeed. No passes, just one wrong. 14 points. Well, what a cracking round. Let's have a look at those scores. In 4th place, 11 points, Alan Gibbs. Joint 2nd place, 13 points apiece, Chris Baker and Stephen Jones. 1st place, 14 points, Marianne Fairthorn. So it is the general knowledge round now, and if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there will be a tie break. The 6 highest scoring runners-up, by the way, will also be able to claim a place in the semi-finals. So plenty to play for. Let's get on with it and ask Alan to join us again, please. And you start out with 11 points. You're all very close. And you get 2.5 minutes now for your general knowledge. Here we go. In Fawlty Towers, what is the name of Basil Fawlty's wife, played by Prunella Scales?
Sybil.
Yep. What's the time difference in hours between American Eastern Standard Time, for example, in New York, and Pacific Standard Time, for example, in Los Angeles?
3 hours.
Yep. Which member of the royal family became the president of the Save the Children Fund in 1970?
Princess Anne.
Yes. What name's given to the usually blue and white ceramics that originated in China, whose designs typically featured a tree, people on a bridge and a pagoda?
Willow pattern.
Yep. The author Arthur Mee first used the term thankful villagers in his guides to the counties of England to refer to places where all the men that went to fight in which conflict returned home alive.
World War One.
Yes. In which Tom Hanks film does the character Josh Baskin make a wish and grow 3 feet taller and 23 years older overnight?
Big.
Yes, a contemporary of Samuel Pepys is also remembered principally for his diary, discovered after his death and first published in 1818. Who was he?
Johnson.
No, John Evelyn. Which hit song by Gloria Gaynor begins, "At first I was afraid, I was petrified"?
I Will Survive.
Yes. What name is given to the stomach of a cow, ox or other ruminant, cleaned, boiled and served as food?
Tripe.
Yes. 3 of the overtures Beethoven wrote for Fidelio are named after the opera's heroine. What's her name?
Leonora.
Yes. Which Egyptian statesman, a joint winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1978, was assassinated on the 6th of October 1981?
Anwar Sadat.
Yes. In January 2014, the tracking system Hawkeye was used to award a goal for the first time in the Premier League when Edin Dzeko scored for Manchester City against which Welsh team?
Cardiff.
Yes. What soft bluish metallic element widely used in electroplating, soldering and batteries has the chemical symbol CD?
Cadmium.
Yep. The 1975 novel Last Bus to Woodstock was the first to feature which fictional detective?
Inspector Morse.
Yep. What type of dance was a particular subject of the painter Degas?
Ballet.
Yep. Who shaved her forehead to accommodate a succession of wigs and wore a false nose when she played Elizabeth I in the historical drama series Elizabeth R?
Oh, Judy Dench.
Glenda Jackson. What's the name of the 5 times winner of the World Darts Championship who's known as the Crafty Cockney?
Eric Bristow.
Yeah, which jazz clarinetist formed big bands known as the First Herd and the New Thundering Herd?
Vic Spiderbeck.
Woody Herman. Which South American country consists of 26 states and the federal district? The states include Mato Grosso, Parana and Pernambuco.
Brazil.
Yeah. The name of a flavoured milk dessert thickened with corn flour or gelatin and set in a mould, originally referred to a dish composed of fowl or other meat mixed with cream and other ingredients. What is it?
Syllabub.
It was blancmange. Yeah, which I know that's the right reaction to it. Yeah. All right. Alan, you've gone up to 27 points. And now Chris again, please. So, you start out with 13 points. 27 is the score to beat already. So, here we go. Let's see if you can do it in 2.5 minutes. Zoophobia is an abnormal fear of what?
Animals.
Yep, the lines water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink came from a poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Which one?
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Yep, the rocky promontory Worm's Head, so named because of its supposed resemblance to a sea serpent or worm, is the westernmost point of a peninsula on the South Wales coast. What is the peninsula called?
Gower.
Yep. Which sporting trophy is named after a yacht from New York, the first winner of the Royal Yacht Squadron's Cup for a race around the Isle of Wight?
America's Cup.
Yes, the collection of teachings and sayings of Jesus Christ called the Sermon on the Mount are found in one of the New Testament Gospels. Which one?
Matthew.
Yep. What is the common name for the plants in the genus Myosotis, which usually have clusters of small blue flowers?
Bluebells.
Forget-me-not. Which Japanese fashion designer who was born in Hiroshima in 1938 is famous for his pleats please and APOC clothing ranges?
Pass.
What slang word for tea comes directly from the Mandarin Chinese word for tea?
Cha.
Yeah. A delegate to the 1990 Versailles Peace Conference criticised the harsh economic terms imposed on Germany in his book, The Economic Consequences of the Peace. Who was he?
John Maynard Keynes.
Yes. During which period of English history is Bellini's opera I Puritani set?
Reformation.
The Civil War. Which golf course hosted the Open for the 16th time in 2013? It's the home of the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers, one of the world's oldest golf clubs.
Muirfield.
Yep. In which 1972 novel by Richard Adams is the fearsome tyrant General Woundwort the principal villain?
Warship Down.
Yes. What device developed to produce beams of high-energy charged particles uses moving insulated belts, cones and a domed metal terminal to generate very high voltages? It's named after its American inventor.
Hadron Collider.
The Van de Graaff generator. Which group that reformed in 2005 topped the album charts the following year with Beautiful World?
Pass.
What is the name of the neurologist who's the author of the popular science books Awakenings and The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat?
Pass.
Which group of islands has an annual public holiday on the 9th of May to celebrate Liberation Day?
Cook Islands.
Channel Islands. DORA is the acronym for an Act of Parliament first passed in 1914 that imposed wartime restrictions, including censorship and imprisonment without trial. What is its full title?
Defence of the Realm Act.
Yes, in which 75 Steven Spielberg film does Police Chief Brody, played by Roy Scheider, say, "You're gonna need a bigger boat"?
Jaws.
Yeah. What sugary liquid produced in plants shares its name with the drink of the gods in classical mythology?
Ambrosia.
No, nectar. Yeah. 3 passes. The name of that neurologist, the man who mistook his wife for a hat, and all that, Oliver Sacks. Take That was the group that reformed in 2005, and that Japanese fashion designer, born in Hiroshima in 1938, is Issey Miyake. Chris, you've got 24 points. And now Stephen again, please. And you also start with 13 points, and 27 is still the score to beat. So you get 2.5 minutes in which to do it or not. Here we go. The Carringtons and the Colbys were the rival families in which television soap opera?
Dynasty.
Yeah, Dr. Zhivago was rejected by publishers in the Soviet Union in 1956 because of its critical depiction of communism. Who wrote it?
Pasternak.
Yes, in 1998, which girl group became only the second act to top the UK Christmas singles charts for 3 years in succession?
Spice Girls.
Yes, what name of Old English origin is given to the fruit of a rose tree, especially a wild one?
Hip.
Yes. What artist's tool that was first marketed in the 1890s by Charles Burdick as the aerograph uses compressed air to deliver a narrow diameter spray of paint or other coating to add shade to paintings or to retouch photographs?
Solder.
Airbrush. In which Mozart opera does the cynical bachelor Don Alfonso set out to prove that all women are fickle?
Figaro.
Così fan tutti. Daniel Deronda, published in 1876, was the last novel by whom?
Victor Hugo.
George Eliot. What relation was Alan Rickman's character Hans Gruber in Die Hard to Jeremy Irons' character in Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Father.
Brother. Which king of England, who died in 1154, is buried in Faversham Abbey in Kent along with his wife Matilda and son Eustace?
Stephen.
Yes, the crass comic anti-hero Sebastian Dangerfield is introduced in a novel by the American-born Irish writer J.P. Dunleavy. What's it called?
Pass.
In which university town is the National Library of Wales home to valuable manuscripts such as the Black Book of Carmarthen and the Mabinogion?
Lampeter.
Aberystwyth. How is the capital city known as Lefkosia by the Greeks and Lefkosia by the Turks better known in English?
Istanbul.
Nicosia. Which song recorded by USA for Africa topped the UK charts in 1985? It was inspired by the success of Band Aid.
We Are the World.
Correct. What is the common name for the plant species Urtica used for centuries as a source of food and medicine?
Pass.
Who became Scotland's Deputy First Minister in 2007? She first entered the Scottish Parliament as MSP for the City of Glasgow in 1999.
Margot MacDonald.
Nicola Sturgeon. What deep-fried seafood-flavoured snacks, a popular accompaniment to Chinese meals, are known as ban phong tom in Vietnam?
Prawn crackers.
Yep. Who was the Hindu goddess of time and death? She is often depicted as dark blue or black and partially naked with multiple arms and a long tongue.
Shivna.
Now, Kali. What alcoholic spirit is a key ingredient in an Irish or Gaelic coffee?
Guinness.
You've had a clean life, haven't you? Yeah. Whiskey. Whiskey, yeah. 2 passes. The common name for the Urtica plant that's used as a source of food and medicine is the nettle. And Sebastian Dangerfield was a character in Don Levy's book, The Ginger Man. You've got, Stephen, 20 points. And finally, Marianne again, please. So you topped the poll the last time around anyway with 14 points. Still, 27 is the score to beat. So here we go, 2.5 minutes. What is the name of the short stick passed from one runner to the next in a relay race?
Baton.
Yeah, which book of the Bible tells the story of the Jews' departure from Egypt, their struggles in the wilderness and the revelation of the 10 Commandments to Moses on Mount Sinai?
Exodus.
Yes, the name of what alcoholic drink comes from a Dutch term meaning burnt wine, where burnt means distilled rather than overheated or charred?
Advocaat.
Brandy. What's the title of the 1969 film starring Michael Caine and Noel Coward that features a classic car chase through Turin with the police pursuing 3 Mini Coopers?
Italian Job.
Yeah, what earldom was held by George Hamilton Gordon, who was Prime Minister from 1852 to 55 during Britain's involvement in the Crimean War?
Aberdeen.
Yes, which stinging insects and their larvae constitute the main diet of the honey buzzard?
Ants.
Oh, bumblebees. In which English cathedral was Jane Austen buried in 1817? The inscription on her tomb commemorates, among other virtues, the sweetness of her temper, but doesn't mention her novels.
Winchester.
Yes, which champion jockey was born in Milan as a father who was himself a jockey and a mother who was a circus performer?
Dettori.
Yeah, the purchase of an American state from Russia in 1867 was known as Seward's Folly after the man who arranged it. Which state?
Alaska.
Yeah, a molecular clock, a method based on comparing the DNA or proteins of different species, can be used in biology to estimate the rate of what natural process?
Aging.
Evolution. Who created the character Plantagenet Palliser, later Duke of Omnium, who first appears in the 1865 novel Can You Forgive Her?
Trollope.
Yeah, what is the English translation of the phrase Vox Populi?
Voice of the People.
Yep, the illustrator Aubrey Beardsley, who died in 1898 at the age of just 25, was the art editor of a short-lived but influential journal devoted to art and literature. What was it called?
Pass.
The original lineup of a 1960s chart-topping band consisted of the Wilson brothers Brian, Carl and Dennis, their cousin Mike Love, and friend Al Jardine. Which band?
Beach Boys.
Yes, who co-wrote the scripts for Dad's Army with Jimmy Perry and Are You Being Served with Jeremy Lloyd?
Pass.
Cultivated varieties of fruit, particularly associated with Kent, were brought to the country from Flanders by Richard Harris, Henry VIII's chief fruiterer. What was the fruit?
Apple.
Cherry. Which heavy metal band, whose logo includes a fanged face with chains and oversized boar's horns, was formed by a vicar's son, Ian Lemmy Kilmister, when he was thrown out of Hawkwind in 75?
Motorhead.
Yes, an isobar is a line on a weather map joining places that have equal what?
Pressure.
Yes, in architecture, what name is given to an arch structure that extends from the upper part of a wall to a massive pier to support the thrust of a roof or vault?
Buttress.
Be more specific.
Flying buttress.
Flying buttress is correct. 2 passes. Chap who co-wrote the scripts for Dad's Army, etc., was David Croft. And that short-lived but influential book, illustrated by Aubrey Beardsley, was...
Yellow Book or something, isn't it?
Yellow Book. But it's a wee bit too late.
Yeah, it is rather, isn't it?
You have 27 points. Well, it doesn't get any closer than that. Let's have a look at those scores. In 4th place, 20 points, Stephen Jones. 3rd place, 24 points, Chris Baker. 2nd place, 27 points and 2 passes, Marianne Fairthorn. 1st place, 27 points and no passes, Alan Gibbs. Which means that Alan is tonight's winner. He goes through on passes to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Commiserations, sort of, to Marianne, but with a score of 27, it is entirely possible that we shall see her again in the semi-final. Now, if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us on Twitter @MastermindQuiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.